Welcome everybody into episode 73 of the Daily BLP. I'm your host, Brian Collins, and we also have back from a short vacay on the show, Matt Dugan. Let me take him out of retirement here. There he is. He's here with us. Welcome everybody to the show today. I'm back in the studio out of my basement and, back in the office because the lights are on again. So it's good to be back. How are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, doing good. Just relocated to Denver from Colorado Springs, so not too far of a relocation, but now kind of more in the heart of the city. So really excited and excited to be back on the show.
New digs, meeting your neighbors, right?
Yep, exactly.
Awesome.
That's how we're on Wi-Fi right now. My amazing neighbor.
Yeah, or you'd be at a Starbucks set up.
Yep.
Baristas in the background. Cool. Well, glad you're here. We're gonna try something a little bit new with the show today. Matt's kind of gonna a fly-by-wire produce and run things a little bit for me. And we're going to get right into kind of the content we got for you guys and see how this works.
Yeah.
What do we got today, Matt?
Yeah, so the first thing is obviously, the government shutdown. So that's day 8 now. So just a lot of different things going on. There's SBA loans, federal contracts, key aid programs delayed. I know TSA is not getting paid. There's some murmurs around there of, them kind of, I don't think it'd be called a strike, but them not working because they're not getting paid. 30 to 60 day shutdown scenarios. What are you thinking with all this going on? I know there's a lot of chatter and affects a lot of things, obviously.
Yeah, it's obviously not an ideal situation to be in, right? I mean, I talked about this a little bit yesterday as far as it's a I don't know if it's a strong opinion to have or not, but as someone in the small business world who has employees, if your employees aren't working, for the most part, the agreement is they're not getting paid, right? I talked a little bit about, hey, maternity leave, paternity leave, those are a little bit different, even though as a business owner, when you start to carry people and have the responsibility of making sure they get paid for the results they give you, it's not even easy to be okay with that, even though I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah.
But in the instance of that, yeah, there's still some government agencies that are out there doing work, if you're going to fly and that national security detail is there, man, they should be getting paid. That is not easy or fun work, from a standpoint of knowing that, man, payday's coming up soon. Am I gonna be able to float this? So hopefully, those folks aren't too much in a paycheck to paycheck situation which I imagine a lot of folks are. Who are we to judge someone on where they are with their their finances and stuff? But if people are expected to work, I kind of think that there's a chance that this could happen every year. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we, budgeting for, as a government, instead of a lot of the things that we're spending money on, why aren't we budgeting for, hey, we might get to the point come budget, like big budget time when we're not agreeing on things. Let's have some money put away for all those agencies that we know we got to keep working, and then aren't going to just be able to go home and wait. You know what I mean? Because if it extends out past a pay period and stuff like that, what are you going to do? I heard today that, hey, our armed forces aren't getting paid or not going to start getting paid. I'm not sure what that is. Payday's coming, I guess, and maybe they're not going to get paid, right? They should be getting paid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Agreed.
Because whether they're at home getting ready for something or they're deployed, they're putting something on the line, so they should definitely be getting paid. The more I hear about this stuff, it's a lot of tit for tat, and it's two people in a room, even though there are bunches of people, just saying, I want this, I'm not going to give you that if you don't give me this. And it's like, man,
Yep, definitely. Yeah, interesting stuff. And I know, kind of while Washington is having all this going on, there also might be another bubble that is kind of on the horizon, and that's AI. I know one thing we kind of talked about a little bit is, comparing this to the 2000 tech bubble of, the .com and things of that nature and how that kind of popped. And, we're seeing a lot of parallels, especially with these, just so many AI companies are being formed, kind of like we saw in the early 2000s with all these tech web companies being formed. What do you really think? What are your predictions and what are you seeing here?
Man, Matt, I'm old enough to remember the .com bubble. I was in college, and I can remember one of the classes I was taking was nonprofit accounting because I was studying nonprofit business at the time. and I was taking a nonprofit accounting course. And I remember coming in that morning. I didn't really know what was going on economically, or I wasn't really paying attention to that stuff. And our accounting professor came in. His name was Joe Botana. Actually, I really liked him as a professor a lot. He came in and he kind of puts his briefcase down and he's like, man, there's some massive stuff going on. We're all like, what's going on? He's like, man, all these websites, companies and stuff like that, they're shutting down. They're going out of business. They're going belly up. We're like, what are you talking about? Yeah, and I remember the one he pointed out was pets.com. It was an online pet store. And, I don't remember the details of, what all specifically happened with pets.com, but man, it was a big deal that there was hundreds and hundreds of these businesses. They were just throwing up websites and saying that they had all these value and getting all these investments, but they were paper dragons. They had nothing to add. And eventually it caught up with them. And when you're not generating anything and you're getting all this money, eventually, you're going to go belly up. And that's really what happened. I asked earlier today when I saw this was kind of a thing, I tried to pull up a report of what were some of the biggest ones and what were their values when they went under. So one that came up, and I'm not familiar with some of these, but these are big value companies. JDS Uniphase. They were apparently a major supplier of optical equipment and fiber optic network stuff. They were they had a massive write down that they announced in 2001 of $44.8 billion. Another one that I am familiar with was Nortel. I don't know if you remember Nortel. They made phone systems and stuff. Okay. Like I still go to companies looking for help with IT, and some of them still have like old Nortel phone systems that they still use that they got to get rid of because there's no parts for them anymore. Or you go back in their data closet and there's an old phone system hanging on the wall and it says Nortel. Right. But they had a market capitalization of almost 400 billion. Okay. And they were one of Canada's biggest companies. But like I said, pets.com was one. Another one was Excite. They were kind of, I think, like an internet company. They collapsed. They were worth like 6.7 billion. So these aren't like these companies, and this was 2001. That kind of money nowadays, add 50% to it or something. I don't know what the exchange is on it, but that's a lot. That was a big deal. And hundreds of these just were boom. So all that kind of money that was thrown into them disappeared, and it hit a lot of people really hard. So and it was really, when you think about it, we've had a lot of conversations about AI over the last couple of years, right? I mean, all the different ways it's being used and stuff. And you can't go on the internet and do a Google search for anything without seeing results, something about AI. Either AI is giving you some results instead of regular Google results, or there's a company doing something that you searched about with AI, or they say they are. And more what I'm realizing as I utilize just a regular kind of prompt engineer type AI, or you put an AI in a meeting to take notes for you and stuff like that. There's convenience to it, but what's actually promised versus what's actually delivered isn't a 1-to-1 ratio. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. Like I was trying to do a little bit of work and get some numbers on kind of daily utilization of my marketing team today. So every day I get a report, boring stuff here. I get a report that says previous day, each of my team members, how are they utilized for their 8-hour shift, and so we have some software on their computers. They're doing all their work on their computers, and it's showing system utilization. So there's certain software and web usage and stuff that all calculates as good work usage. And so I get a report at the end of every day for the team that says each individual and their utilization, 6.8 hours, 7.2 hours, blah, 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 right? And we've got it color coded we want it to be in a certain threshold. Obviously, we're not looking for 8 out of 8. That's impossible. You got to go to the bathroom. You got to eat some lunch. You got to get up and walk around. So what I want to do, relatively simple. I could easily do this. It would just take me a couple hours to do, right? These are the type of things you would expect nowadays that an AI can do. So, I asked, I'm like, hey, I'm going to feed you a bunch of reports from the last couple months. I want you to open them up, look at the marketing tab, and look at the individual utilization numbers for the employees. And then I want you to average them out over those couple months and tell me per employee what their average daily utilization is off of all that data. Very basic. I could have my 14-year-old do it, right? It would just take time, right? So not only, and they're like, yeah, the AI is like, yeah, I can do it. I got you, bro. Not in that same language, but pretty much. How funny would it be if we could get like AI to talk back to us like a teenager does these days?
Yep.
Like, oh, I got
wouldn't
you,
even
bro, no cap.
Yeah, I wouldn't even doubt that there's something out there right now that possibly does that.
That'd be funny. That'd be fun. Anyway, getting off track here. So it's like, yeah, I got you. Just feed me the info, and I'll do what you asked me to do, and that's in a few more words than that. So I'm like, okay. So I had like 60 spreadsheets, one for each day, in a folder. I'm like, hey, can I just upload the folder to you, and you take it from there? And it's like, no, I can't do the folder. You're gonna need to give me the individual spreadsheets. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I grabbed all of them and tried to pop them over, drag and drop. It's like, oh, too many.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how many can you handle?
Yeah.
I can handle 3 at a time. Okay, still more than I can handle. I can handle 1 at a time, right? So I'm 3 at a time. Here's the next 3. Here's the next 3. 10 minutes later, I'm already, getting into this a bit more than I really wanted to. I just wanted to say, actually, my first question was, hey, man, do you have access to my email? Because I could have swore I gave you access to my email. Can you just scan my email for all these spreadsheets and then do the work? Nope, can't do that. Okay. So I give it the info. Story's getting a little long, I know, but there's a moral to it. I get it all in there, and it's like, okay, I've got it all. What do you want me to do with it? I'm like, give me the daily, the average daily utilization per employee. Okay, I got you. Thinking. Oh, it looks like I've run into an error. Give me a couple more moments. I want to analyze. Looks like there's too much data here for me to handle. Does not compute. And all I could handle was like 3 days of the data. And, I put a good hour into trying to make this work. And then finally, I'm just like, this is a waste of my time.
Yep. Right.
So it's a small example of, gosh, it's not there.
Yeah.
And it's a company that says like, we can solve all your problems if you just plug into our AI and we'll make you breakfast. Well, you're probably not going to make me breakfast.
Right.
If you do, it's probably going to taste like terrible. Right.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
So realistically, I think this is totally on point as far as what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because who isn't, I remember when, like in 2023, end of the year, when my employee at the time said, hey, Brian, you got to check this AI thing out. And I'm checking out, I'm like, whoa. And all of a sudden, I'm already seeing videos on YouTube, how to start a company with AI and blah, blah, all this. I'm just like, yeah, how to start a fake company with AI is saying that you can do something that you really can't do.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
How much is that is actually going on right now? Probably a lot.
Yeah. 100%. No, yeah, it's interesting, and I guess we'll see kind of where it goes. I mean, it's becoming a bubble, but yeah, it'll keep getting smarter. But kind of to your point, the AI ones that really deliver real value will succeed, and these other ones will start dropping off probably, as we've seen.
I mean, I just made a list of things of problems that I've heard about recently or either experienced. 1, AI hallucination. It's like, after so much time or data or even a few minutes of going back and forth, it's like your AI is on shrooms. I swear to God, they start saying things and pulling things from like, this is not where this conversation is supposed to go. Other security risks, we talked about this a few weeks ago. It's like, okay, if this AI has access to this and this, and they're sitting in the same place, how do we know that they're not, sitting down dating when they're not supposed to be talking? You know what I mean?
Yep. Exactly.
Social, cultural risks. I think a week or so ago, I can't remember if you were on that show or not with me, but I was talking about, there was some stories going where a couple folks, kids, had AI chatbots that they were interacting with, and over the course of like thousands of interactions and messages, the AI convinced them to commit suicide.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I think I did. I don't know if I was on that call, but I did hear something. Yeah, across. I think it was like in the parents like sued the company too. I believe,
and there's
something
they had like a big hearing about it or something. But
yeah, that's terrible.
That's scary stuff, because like kids are on it. You can control what your kids have access to a point, but if they want to get something, they're going to figure out a way to get it. You know,
Yep.
like when I was a kid, we didn't have a Nintendo. And my mom didn't want me playing it. I figured out how to play it at my friend's house. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? That's what's gonna. Hey, I
Exactly.
didn't. My kids don't have Chat GPT, but their friends might. They might go hang out, and I don't even know they're messing with it. You
Yep.
know.
Yep.
So,
100%.
what else?
100%.
False reporting stuff. So I saw this. I saw another article talking about just before the show about Deloitte had to admit that it used AI to generate a proposal for a big government contract, and it used all kinds of fake data, cited fake stuff, and they had to refund the money that they received or a portion of the money because what they put in their accepted proposal was all AI generated and none of it was true.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty
They
crazy.
might have thought it was true, right? Because a lot of people are generating these things and they're not even following up on it. And
Yep.
I'm probably guilty of that.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
yeah, and then
100%.
like we talked about, companies promise magic solutions with AI that aren't even really possible.
Yep. Yep.
We see that stuff a
Exactly.
lot in our business in the world of medical scribes. Like our biggest competition right now is AI, and so when we're talking to folks, or even some folks that are saying, "Hey, we're going to try this AI thing out instead of your live scribes," and we're like, "Okay," because we've tested it, and the results aren't what they put on their website, or you know, the accuracy and things like that. And you can't get patient encounter notes wrong
Yep.
because you know diagnoses are wrong, and then those notes go out to insurance companies, and then if they get paid on that and it's wrong, then they have to get that money. It's a mess. People can get hurt and go to jail for that kind of stuff, for falsifying information, even if they didn't do it on purpose. So
100%. Scary.
anyway, yeah, I think it's possible. I think people got to really be careful, really vet the companies that they're either investing in or doing business with, like in a vendors type of thing, when AI is involved, because yeah, there's no guarantees with it for sure. Could be a bunch of smoke and
No.
mirrors.
Yep. Yep. No, 100%. It'll be interesting to see. And yeah, really not really sure what's in store. It'll keep getting smarter. More will drop off. More will come on. So it's a whole different world. But, you know, kind of from going on to this bubble that popped, now some teams that might pop in the MLB
Ooh,
playoffs, like what I did there.
baseball, nice
MLB.
segue, dude. Nice.
Thank you. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
right
so
on
we had a
time.
lot of games going on, or actually not a lot of games last night. Last night, we only had some American League games. Mariners won, Yankees won. And then we got some games going on actually right now, it's with including your Brewers. I know you're a Brewers fan. I'm a Brewers guy now that Orioles are out. And I'm also liking the Mariners. But
Yeah.
what are you thinking of MLB playoffs right now?
I'm liking what I'm seeing. I haven't got to watch any full games yet, but I'm keeping up. But it's just the games seem competitive, even though like the Yankees Toronto seemed like it was a little one-sided there until last night. It looked like Toronto was gonna, you know, boat race them again, but all of a sudden, I think the Yankees were down like 6-1 or 6-2, and but they just got hot
Yeah.
and they just started slapping the ball all over the place. And I can't remember the inning, but they put a bunch of runs up, and then they just took the lead, and never gave it back. Judge had a big night.
Yep. He had a
Hit
huge
his
night.
first home run of the postseason. So they're getting hot. 12 hits, 2 home runs last night. Yeah, and then the Seattle Detroit series, I think it right now is a good one, you know, to keep track of, because
Yeah.
you know that was the only one that split the first 2 games. But Seattle won last night, right? Yeah, they won, and they took a 2-1 lead, and they're playing right now. What's the score? I
Yep.
think I had it up. The
Yep.
score.
Seattle right now. I'll go to
Oh,
MLB.com.
Tigers are up 5-2.
Oh wow. Okay.
5-2, bottom of the 6th already. That game's flying by.
Yeah. Yeah, they really they did that whole kind of, what was it, either 1 or 2 seasons ago, the pitching clock and all that good stuff. And I think they still have that in the playoffs, but the only thing they don't have is extra innings. In the normal season, regular season, when you go into extra innings, you start with a man on second. And I was watching a game the other night, and or actually it was last week. I think it was part of the wild card series. I forget which game it was. I want to say maybe it was the Cubs game, and it was going into the 10th inning, and there was no man starting on second. So it's interesting to see these rules, what's taken in, what's taken out, and all that stuff as well.
That's weird. I didn't know that was a new thing.
Yeah, it's the main things were pitching clock. They have a pitcher's clock. They have now every single time the pitcher walks off the mound, they're checking them for substances. You'll
Okay.
probably see that whenever a pitcher walks off, they're checking them no matter what now. And then the last, I think they made the bases bigger. And then the last thing I think is extra innings in the regular season. You start with a man on second.
That's probably just to speed things up, eh?
Yep, that's solely what it was, to speed up pace of play. And I'm honestly kind of like it. I mean, if it gets more people watching baseball, it gets more people excited for baseball, I think it's good. And I mean, I don't need to see a pitcher going through his warm up thing for, a minute and a half, like some of those pitchers back in the late 2010s would do. And so I don't mind it, going past quicker. I want some actionable baseball. So I'm not totally against it. I know there are some things going on, but the last thing I heard is I believe next season, they will start with automatic strike calling too, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know the
feel like they were
validity
looking
to
into
it.
that. They're gonna, basically, take the plate umpire out of that, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because I remember back when I was visiting home, what they did, I went to the AAA game, which was the Norfolk Tides, which are the Baltimore Orioles AAA team. And I remember with that, it was they didn't do it in the majors, but in the minors, they were testing it out that batters, if they get called a strike three, they can double tap their helmet and they can call a review of it. And they
Oh,
review that. So they were testing that out in the minors. And now I think they might be bringing that aspect to the majors. I don't know if the umpires are going away, but I know they have been testing more vigorously in the minors.
cool. Hey, are you seeing my screen share right now?
It's just a black screen for me right
It's
now.
just on a black screen. I think that's what it's doing on YouTube as well. I'm gonna double check. I'm trying to. The game's live,
They
and
probably, I would assume they do that so that people don't like restream or kind of pirate stuff, is what I would assume.
yeah,
Maybe.
maybe. You'd think you'd be able to at least kind of do some
Yeah,
live
because I
reaction
can
kind of
see
stuff.
when you hover over it, I can see Brewers and Cubs game three. I can see but it's just as far
You
as the
can't see
video
the
goes.
video feed. That's
Right.
unfortunate. That's okay. But yeah, Brewers are up. They were up. Cubs just hit a home run. So Brewers
Okay.
were up 1-1. Cubs just tied it at 1. It's bottom of the first. So
Okay.
who was it that hit that? I can't tell yet. Hold on. I can't tell. And I have the volume off so it doesn't show up, but oh, Bush. Yeah. So the game is going, and we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, Wrigley went crazy as that ball left the park, but
Yep. No. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm rooting for the Brewers on the National League and then Mariners on the American League. So that'd be a pretty cool. I'm calling it. That's the World Series. Brewers and Mariners. Let's see if that happens.
that would be legit. I watched a little short documentary that a guy on YouTube did. I wish I knew his name because I'd send people there. It was worth watching. It was about kind of like Moneyball 2.0 in the Brewers.
Oh, nice.
And I think it was
Love
maybe
Moneyball.
it was maybe a couple weeks or a month before the season ended, but it was really cool how he went through and talked about the Brewers developmental process, the philosophy, the coach's philosophy. The one cool thing that they talked about. Have you heard of the 200 Club?
I've heard of it. I'm blanking on what the 200 is. It's not, is it? I forget what that is now.
Yeah, so it's so basically it's like, so 200 is just a bunch of numbers combined. You take letters in the alphabet, and every letter is a value. So A is 1, Z is 26, right? And every letter
Nice.
adds the numerical value. And it's a couple words, and it's an expletive, and it's an F-bomb and relentless. So,
Yeah.
and their coach has a tattoo of this right here on one of the arms, and it says 200 Club. So
Okay.
it's just a philosophy on like never giving up what it is. It's
Nice.
pretty cool when he talked about that whole thing and kind of the main points that kind of the team goes by. And, one of them talking about, their team culture and doing it for Euchre, who passed away, end of the year last year and didn't get, they didn't do really hot. Well, they got in the playoffs, but they kind of tapered off there, and they knew how much Euchre wanted to see him win. So it just seems like, as a team, they're really primed to make something happen, and they may not. whatever. But for the way they're put together, the amount of money that's kind of in their system. They talked about how good they are developing pitchers, which they have been over the years. You look at the pitchers that have kind of gone through and been in Milwaukee and left Milwaukee. Yeah, it's an interesting story. It'd be a really cool story if they do end up, getting to the World Series or even winning it. We'll see.
No,
They got to
that's
get
cool.
past
Yeah.
the Cubs first, and that's not an easy out. The Cubs are playing good baseball right now, so
Yeah, they're a good team. They're a good team. They're a scary team.
for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, looking forward to seeing how that stuff plays out. Yeah, that would be cool. Seattle, because Seattle's kind of similar. They've got some big bats, but neither of those teams rely heavily on the long ball to win games. They make a lot of hits, score a lot of runs, play good defense, and then they're smart. They're smart with their at bats. So,
100%.
Cool, man. Well, we're about here close to the end. You got anything else for me?
No, that's I think that's just about it for us. A lot of things going on in the world, so we'll keep you guys up to date. And then actually, on the note of AI, our closing remark, I believe we have a new episode coming out tonight for Legacy.
Yeah, Legacy BLP show tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We've got an interview I did a little while back with Jonathan Schroyer. He has an AI company that focuses on kind of community management within the gaming world. So, these big video games that are just like economies in themselves have thousands and sometimes millions of users. And a big part of doing that type of business is managing those people and, fixing issues quickly, communicating with them, and just making sure that community is active and keeps going. So we have a good conversation, learn about how his company is, driving those things for big companies like, Microsoft and those guys. So that's gonna be a good show to watch. So tune in tonight when that releases, or as soon as you can.
Yep. No, so that'll be awesome. So yeah, like you said, 8 p.m. Eastern will be on this channel. Exciting stuff. And I think that's just about all I had for you today, Brian.
Awesome, Matt. Hey, thanks for running the show. I think it went pretty well.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think so too. Yeah, kind
awesome.
of gives you a good lead in to kind of answer some of these answers. So yeah, enjoy it. And I think we'll try this again tomorrow. And then if you guys have any thoughts on how, the structure of the show, we've been trying out different things. So always feel free to drop any comments if you prefer
talk to us,
anything.
check us out, and communicate with us because we're always looking for ideas. Thanks everybody for tuning in to episode 73 of the Daily BLP. Don't forget tonight's show, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you guys.